Welcome back. I'm so excited to see you here. This might be my favorite one. We're going to talk about, wait for it, NFTs. Now, it's been the buzzword of the last few years. I know you've looked at an ugly ape or a digital 8-bit punk, or you've at least heard about them and rolled your eyes profusely. I totally get it. Anytime these buzzwords hit the mainstream, it can be obnoxious. And yes, Web3 is absolutely one of them. But non-fungible tokens are going to be the easiest way of thinking about how we can exchange. So we're going to talk very briefly about what an NFT, what a non-fungible token actually is, how it's being utilized in Web3, how it's not yet being implemented, and all of the different exciting ways that you can make this work for you in your business to really transform your products, your services, your income streams, and the way that you think about business. So I love this concept. Full disclaimer, I wouldn't call myself an NFT collector. I've absolutely bought some beautiful pieces of art. I am an art collector. I have a lot of physical art, and I am beginning my exploration into digital art. But what excites me the most about NFTs is the smart contract component. So to back it up, because again, this might be one of those concepts you feel like is really complicated or just simply not available, or like there's no way that you would engage with this. I'm going to challenge that because I guarantee you are using the concept of NFTs almost every day in your life. Let's start with what NFTs are not. It is not a digital currency. So if you think about your currency, the money you have in your wallet, let's pick out a singular unit of value, a one denomination, right? So in the United States, it's a US dollar. In England, it is a Great British pound. It is €1, right? So on and so forth. Apologies for all of the Western examples there. There are hundreds of millions of those $1, those singular denominations, right? So in a digital currency, it can exist in exactly the same way. There are hundreds, if not millions, of that one token of value, that singular existence of value. Now, how much that is actually worth or what you can exchange that for is somewhat standardized. It's mainly based on perception. I perceive $1 is not being worth a lot. Now, comparatively, it might be worth a lot in another currency. And what is a lot? It's what it gives me access to, right? Like, can I fly on a plane with $1? Can I get a beverage with $1? Can I buy something from you for $1? That's all to be determined. It really depends on what the thing is that I'm trying to exchange, right? And how much I perceive it as value. One of the ways I like to think of NFTs, because most people are like, why should I care about that ugly ape or that 8-bit punk or whatever it is someone is packaged up in an NFT? You don't have to. I, as an example, I don't care about your handbag. I don't care what designer made it. I don't care how much money it costs. And if you have one that I'm supposed to care about, I probably don't know that either. That's just like not my thing. So I'm not going to buy one. I'm probably not going to understand why you bought one. And I'm not even going to notice when, those like super high value Birkins, are they Birkins? Yeah, like are floating around. I have an idea maybe, but that's what I mean when I talk about perceived value. If it's not important to me, I'm not going to put a lot of value into it. You might be a car aficionado and really, really love cars. Now, you're going to think about and save for and potentially want a really, really nice car. If I don't drive, I might not care about your car. I might not know how cool you are because you have this really nice car. I might think it's ridiculous how much money you want to spend on your car. That's the difference in perception of value. So we have these singular tokens that we use all day, every day. And if you think digital currency is beyond you, think about the Cash App, the Venmo, the electronic funds transfer that you've been using all of the time. That is a representation of your singular token of fiat currency in the digital domain. When you're using digital currencies, it's very similar. You have transferred value from one currency to another. It's just like foreign exchange. It's like going from the United States to Europe and using a US dollar I've exchanged for a euro. We engage in a lot of these technologies on our day-to-day, but because they've been described in these like technical crypto bro terms, we might think that we don't get it. I promise you, my friend, you absolutely understand this and you engage on this on a daily basis. So now let's start talking about non-fungible tokens, NFTs. All an NFT is one token. I don't know why they came up with non-fungible. I mean, talk about complicated, unnecessary descriptors. Thank you, technology. Thank you, tech bros who've not ever had to engage with human beings on a real physical level, right? So it just means one-off. There's only one of them, okay? So now if you think about a service or a product in your business, sure, there might be many manufactured, but a great example is thinking about like your favorite t-shirt, right? Or maybe your favorite pillow, favorite pair of shoes, a favorite book. They made 100, potentially 1,000, potentially more of that particular thing, but yours is special and there's only one of them. Now, I might look at that thing and be like, that is very ratty, it's gross, it's dirty, I see no perceived value in that. And you might think it's priceless. So these are the types of concepts we're really starting to play with on Web3. And that's why it's so revolutionary. It's literally changing the way we think, because no longer is a price point or a currency or a value going to be determined by someone external to yourself. You get to be in charge of that. You control the perceived value of your experience. So NFTs give us a container for that perceived value. You, me, our businesses, our communities, anything we think is cool and we want to engage in, right? So first things first, an NFT can represent an asset. It's like a tangible value. And oftentimes we think of it as a product. Right now, it's very popular to think of it as an image. It's very two-dimensional. And this is why I think we've not even chipped the tip of the iceberg when we talk about how NFTs are going to transform our businesses and our lives. A smart contract, which is essentially what an NFT is, it's an automatic, executable application that when the first task is engaged, everything else just happens. So I can literally post an NFT for one of my services online, which I've done. You can buy it. And anytime, anywhere, no matter who you are, you can acquire that NFT and that starts to create this whole, well, let's be real, it's not that many different actions, but it triggers an action that then, like a domino falling, triggers a whole bunch of other actions automatically without anybody having to do anything, without any middleman. You receive my product and I receive your value and a whole bunch of other things that happen, right? So that is an incredibly efficient way of working with each other. It is an incredibly transparent way of working with each other. I can see, you can see exactly where we are in our supply chain. There might be multiple parties involved. I might have partnered with a charity organization or a local community organization or another service provider or an artist. All of us can start to see the benefits of this particular exchange as this piece of software kicks off the whole list of activities from start to finish. So with that exchange of value, that is the first way that NFTs can be used. And the most obvious, it is an asset exchange. You give me value, I give you an asset. Now, the second, which I promise you you're very familiar with, is access. So think about this like a ticket to a show, a venue, a gig, an event, a conference, something you're attending. You go once, it gets you in the door, nobody else. And as soon as you have used it, it dissolves. It's no longer of any value unless you're collecting them. That's a different story. The point being, it doesn't represent a thing so much as an experience, a particular way of engaging. And it's done one time. So that's the second way that, again, you're very, very familiar with. If you bought a ticket to a train, to a venue, to an artist's event, you have essentially played with this concept of how an NFT can act like an access point. And a lot of different ticket providers are now using NFTs because they're so secure. Because you as the user, the buyer, the purchaser can now transact that NFT in a secure and transferable way that is completely trust. It's done in a manner that's so secure and so transparent. We don't have to worry about scalpers and people faking tickets. I mean, imagine buying a plane ticket and if you're not being able to be on the flight, you can sell it directly to one of the passengers. And that's done securely because all of the securities that the airline has built in to tracking your safety as you travel with them is transferred on the blockchain when you transfer the ownership of this NFT. And you can program that into the smart contract to say this NFT is transferable or non-transferable. So these are all of the different logistics that you have to think of in sales that oftentimes takes a phone call and chats and emails and contracts and receipts that are gone. They are automated in this process, and it's going to save so much time and energy. The third is this utility, the promise of use for an NFT. So something that a lot of early stage NFT creators were doing was saying, I want to create this concept. I don't even know if this is going to be useful. If you purchase my Genesis series, which typically means the first series of NFTs that somebody creates, you get access to the next series. I don't even know what the next series is going to look like. But imagine being a very young creator and you don't have any money and you perceive the need of value in order to create your first project. You could very easily create an NFT, a series of NFTs, and ask for an exchange of value from your family, from your friends, from maybe the very small community you've already built, and create that value. And you promise them that if they buy your NFT, they will get access to that first product. Or maybe they get a thank you on that first product. Again, it can look and feel a lot like a crowdfunding campaign, but now we're doing it in this way that is totally secure, very transparent, and you can start to layer it on top of the other benefits or the other access points in the smart contract in the NFT that you've already created. So I'll circle back to that. The last and probably fundamental use case for an NFT is this concept of authenticity and transfer of ownership. So we now have proof this is a legitimate product or piece of art or idea or service from the original creator. And we can do that because it's on the blockchain. We can verify the transaction from me as the creator to you as the buyer, anytime, anywhere, depending on in which ecosystem that it's in, right? You just go to a different website. That is something that, as an example, universities are doing for diplomas. So now a diploma is being issued as an NFT. You still get this beautiful piece of paper or image of a piece of paper, but now it's been verified on the blockchain. So the university has sent that NFT to you. And when you mint it, when you verify it, you save it to the blockchain, it becomes permanently part of that entire chain of data. And so when we go to different platforms where people are talking about where they've been to school or the different certifications they have, instead of just taking their word for it, we'll be able to see on Web3 that that is a verifiable, trustworthy piece of digital data. So with these four components, the asset, the promise, the access, and the authenticity, we can start to create really dynamic ways of engaging with each other. So as an example, you might have a service-based business and you sell your time in exchange for value. There is a very limited amount of time that you have the ability to sell. And you might need to hire employees to create more time that can be sold. At some point, though, you're going to hit these ceilings of costs versus income. Now, you could create a loyalty program. Sure, we see loyalty programs all the time. You're using a third-party provider, so a middleman that is charging you to now reward people. And what can they do with those rewards? Not a lot. Evolve this into Web3. So you create a loyalty program, an access point with NFTs. People buy an NFT. Now they have access. So every time they transact in your business, they're gifted a digital currency. Now, sure, that digital currency might not be worth a lot, but they can use that digital currency for more services in your business. Or they can transfer that digital currency out of your ecosystem and into fiat currency or into another business's ecosystem. So suddenly this loyalty that you're offering your people for working with you can be transferred as value so that they can put that directly into their physical world wallet if they choose, or they could go buy a coffee at their local coffee shop because they were able to swap that value for potentially the currency that they're using in a different ecosystem. So we start to create this mutually beneficial exchange. Now, let's level that up and say that you put a very high price point on that access for that NFT. So they get after hours access. They get platinum level service from you. They get a certain way of communicating with you that nobody else does. And you only make 10 of these available a year. Suddenly, you have broken through that glass ceiling of income generation. You have a whole new product in your business that you didn't have to do anything different for other than give people access to you in a way that was just too cumbersome or too challenging or too unpredictable to provide before. Now, let's say I am your number one customer and I move. Now, that access point might not be very useful to me. So I can offer that back to the business if it's non-transferable, or what I can do is transfer that NFT to someone else in this community that wants that level of access. Now, you as the business owner or service provider haven't had, again, to do anything. You're in complete control of the amount of that product that's out in your market. You might even be in complete control of who that transfer of ownership might be. And if other me, who is now new in the community and wants access, and I can buy that NFT, I could sell that for more value. And now I'm also benefiting. So it, again, can really change the way that we work with each other. And if I haven't mentioned this already, I did an entire series of videos just riffing on different ideas. Tons of different ideas for completely different industries. So I encourage you to check those out. They're on YouTube. At the BZ channel is my handle. And I'm literally just giving it away. My DAO actually builds these different onboarding ramps for small businesses. City Roots DAO, you're welcome to join us. It is also free in perpetuity. But we are creating access points because this is the way that you as a small business, that you as an artist, that you as a knowledge economist can really start to engage and exchange in a way that feels different than sort of the colonialist or capitalist structures within which we've been operating. And you get to decide how much value you want to exchange. And I think what's really exciting as well is your people get to tell you. When you think about transferable ownership, when you think about partnership, when you think about the automations that these smart contracts can allow, it is going to negate these super complicated accounting and invoicing and sales systems. All of this stuff can really start to be automated. So let's say you and I wanted to partner with each other. We could create an NFT that upon acquisition, I get 50% and you get 50%. And we can see it. No more like having to wonder, well, did you transfer the money out of the bank account? Do I need to invoice you? So on and so forth. We can also create some legacy. So maybe you want your children to receive, or your whomever, a local charity, a community organization, your partner, your dog, you can program that into the smart contract. This is going to feel similar to royalties. And there's a lot of discussion and debate about royalties in the NFT industries right now. That's for another conversation, but that's what they're talking about, is these automated systems that are programmed into the smart contract that is the NFT, that allows these certain exchanges of value to be sent out to wherever the creator decides. And for the first time ever for artists, we're seeing the ability to send value back to the original creator. So never before has an artist or creator been able to benefit from the reselling of their product, their art. That's all changing now. And it's changing the way that we think about creation. Another example is that anytime someone acquires a smart contract that has been designed as such, the completion of that idea can happen. And sometimes it's randomized, sometimes it's iterated, but that gives you this co-creative process where you're almost acting like part of the software development team in your smart contract and NFT to create something totally unique, non-fungible that you now own. And the perceived value of that can skyrocket. So this is where that mutually beneficial, everybody wins, the bigger the pie, the more everybody eat component of Web3 really starts to coalesce and feel like something we can play with. The other thing that I want to really, really encourage you to do is start playing. Look at what other people are doing. Look at how other people in your local business, in your local industries, in your geographic locations are using NFTs, because I guarantee you they are. And I've been working with small businesses from around the world in really unique ways of firstly connecting with their customers and clients and buyers to see if Web3 is a playground they want to meet upon, and then how they can really make that a mutually beneficial experience for everybody. And it has been so much fun. So how do you do this? What are next steps? Firstly, get very clear on your objectives and goals. Why Web3? What's the utility? What's the purpose? It's okay if it's because it's cool. You're allowed to just try something because it fascinates you or you want to understand it more. But just get clear, as Simon Sinek would say, on your why. So then secondly, identify the blockchain platform within which you want to play. So every blockchain, think about like Bitcoin, Ethereum, Avalanche, Arbitrum. So like there are a lot now. They're all different ecosystems. Think of them all like different playgrounds. And where you start for the most part is going to be on the blockchain that makes the most sense for you and your business. There's so much research and there's so much learning out there available. How do you fast track this? Get in some Discord communities, talk to some developers. City Roots DAO is a great place. We're blockchain agnostic. We exist on the Polygon chain. That's just an example of one of the many blockchain ecosystems that you can play with. If that feels overwhelming, I encourage you to just talk to a couple experts, get in some Discord communities, Telegram chats, WhatsApp chats. Make sure that you're doing this on a platform that is verified, that you know that you're talking to the development team and the community managers. But you will be able to start exploring this. And again, make sure you're finding the right value that makes sense for you. This does not have to be expensive. We're building out templatized options every single day to make this as accessible and immediate as possible. So find the right developers and the right ecosystems for you. From there, look at the different building blocks. You can get on plenty of NFT marketplaces right now and publish an NFT. So that can look as simple as uploading a photo from your phone to an NFT marketplace and hitting publish. It can also look a hell of a lot more complicated than that, especially when you start talking about these automations and the smart contracts. There's absolutely service providers out there that can help you. And please find someone that supports your vision, that believes in what you're trying to do, and ideally has some experience in your industry and in your business so that they can help you monetize and create this really, really rewarding experience for everybody that's involved. Oh, hot tip on that one, you can get started for free. You don't have to charge people and create this monetary exchange of value. What a lot of the businesses that I work with have done is create this Genesis series of NFTs. Very, very simple. It can look like a business card. It can look like a QR code. But what they're doing is gauging, how much do we want to invest from here? Is our audience actually interested in Web3? And if so, how do we come together on this? And for a lot of businesses and for brands, what they realize is they get to be the resource. They get to be the guide that allows people to get into Web3. And that's been incredibly empowering for everybody. You can be the starting point for your people to start to explore this technology. That's a pretty awesome opportunity. So then lastly, just understand there's a ton of different dApps, there's a ton of different platforms, there's a ton of different marketplaces. Whatever you start with, know that it is where you're going to start. And this is a process of testing, iterating, and improving. If you're familiar with design theory, check it out. I have lots of information about that, but this is the beginning. This is the beginning of the industry. This is the beginning of the technology. This is the beginning of your opportunity to create a means of exchange with your people that feels like a win-win-win for everybody participating. So it should be fun. It should be inspiring, and it most importantly needs to be rewarding. So thank you so much. Next up, we're going to have the not so fun conversation of the risks and concerns with Web3 and how you can avoid them, how you can stay safe.